All right, peace, and Black Power family. Welcome to another episode of Do Knowledge Radio. Place where knowledge is born. This is your host, Knowledge Born Alive. Y'all see who I got in the building? Let me get my bomb. You know what I'm saying? See who we got in the building. We got Her Majesty Alyssa Michelle in the building here to talk to us about this latest installment, the one of many growing pains. So without any further ado, it becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some present others special guest for this afternoon. Majesty Alyssa Michelle in the building. What's going on?
Hey, what's going
Hey,
on?
hey. I'm happy to have you back on the platform. It's visual now, so you can see we trying to up the standards on how we provide this quality content. You see what I'm saying? We had the audio, so we had a super bomb funny interview. You understand on the other platform. So we here and we live. So let's talk about this illustrious offering that you gave to the people. Let me just read on the back real quick. It says, "Growing Pains is a collection of poems that represents the different phases of growth that someone may experience in life." So y'all know, y'all saw this book before, so don't act brand new today, okay? When I was going through my book recommendations, y'all seen this. So now we got the author in the building, so I'm gonna turn the floor over to you. Let's talk about this writing process and your growing pains with this growing pain.
All right, so the book itself that took a good year. Um,
Mm,
I did implement a few poems when I first started to really seriously write. Because it brought me back to how I started as a writer, and then the deeper poems uh were within a year. I was writing like crazy. I'd be writing two and three poems at once because there were so many things that I needed to speak about that I couldn't just do one at a time. I was getting my creative flow was on fire, so I had to get it all out. Some I finished, some I started to write and I had to come back to it because sometimes you can't get everything out in one sitting. So you have to sit, get it out, come back to it, read it, add to it. So it was definitely a long process. And then Growing Pains, I actually thought about the title while I was writing the poems. I felt like, okay, well, I'm going through a phase right now. I'm going through several phases of growth, and I wanted to implement all of the poems in three chapters. One was the past, which represented who I used to be, the present, who I am now, and then the future, my hopes for the future and who I want to be in the future. So that's where the chapters came in as well.
all right. So if you had to pick three poems for today, because stuff changes. A couple of my joints they change by the day depending on where I'm at and how I'm feeling. I guess you see what I'm saying. So if you had to pick one from each chapter for today, what's your top three?
Okay, so the past, I would definitely say a letter to my exes. The present, that one's tough because there's so many good ones in here. Let me just flip through it. Let's see here. The present. Um, I would have to say, hmm, solitude thoughts.
Mm.
Um, yeah, that does it for the present. And then the future, don't give up on love
Mm.
or don't give up love.
Why? Why
Why?
you picked them three today?
So I would say for the past, A letter to my exes sums up how I'm ready to move forward. It's very rare that, an ex gets a second chance or third, because sometimes those things are lessons. Things don't work out on purpose because they're there to teach you something. Sometimes they're there to mirror parts of yourself that you don't like like a karmic soulmate, which I actually met. I believe that those parts of me represented things I needed to let go and grow from. And I don't think that a lot of people comprehended that, I have all respect for certain ones, but sometimes you just need to let go and move on. You can't stay friends with certain people because they don't represent what you're ready for in the future. They're still stuck in a situation of their own. And it's like some people are not ready to grow, so you have to let them go, because that could definitely stagnate your own growth by holding on to people that you should really let go. So that's why that poem is my favorite from the past. The present, Solitude Thoughts basically sums up my deepest thoughts when I'm by myself. I believe sometimes people are so afraid to be by themselves because the truth, it's like you have time to think, you have time to look over your life. And some people don't want to sit and have a moment of truth with themselves. So that is just me talking to myself about all the things that I've gone through, the things that I look at with other people, with things that I observe. It was like a moment of reality for me to just sit in my solitude and just be like, wow, have you thought about this? Or what about this? And then I'd say the future, don't give up, love. It's extremely hard when you have a rare spirit and soul about you, because certain people don't know how to take it. So at times I felt discouraged on my journey because I'm extremely authentic in how I express myself. I don't like to sugarcoat things when it comes down to who I am as a person. So I'll tell you flat out how I am. I don't change who I am for anyone. So it's just me speaking to myself about how, even though I've been disappointed so many times, to not give up, to keep moving forward, to keep hoping, to keep manifesting, to keep putting that positive energy out into the universe, because it will surely come back to me. And that's my hopes for my future.
All right. So let the family know where they can get autograph author's copy, fresh off the presses right now. Let them know. Let them know.
So right now, if you want a copy of my poetry book, Growing Pains, you can go on Amazon. There is a paperback copy. You can also download the ebook. You can also message me on my Facebook. I have 2 pages. I have my personal page, Alyssa Michelle, and then I have my poetry page, Alyssa Michelle Poetry. You can inbox me if you personally want to get a copy from me, and I can send you out some. You can cash at me at A Michelle 323. I'll put a little saying in there on the front cover inside of the book. I'll sign it for you and then I'll send it.
Just type in the chat. Get the book. You know what I'm saying? Get the
It's
book.
$9.99. So
99.
$9.99.
plus $9.99 times $9.99. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have our sister back on here. We're gonna do a giveaway for people who tune in live. I think we're gonna get like 10 books. We're gonna give them away on live on the air. You understand what I'm saying? That's that's coming next month. So we're gonna have the listener show back on. We're gonna do a giveaway. We're gonna get some time for some people to get these books, and we're gonna have like a book discussion. You know what I'm saying? Get some get some people talk about their growing pains. You cool
Yes,
with that? You cool with that?
I'm definitely cool with that.
All right, all right, okay, all right. Let me pick my top three for today since I asked you. I don't want you to be like, oh, he just asked me that and he ain't even tell me nothing about nothing about nothing. Let me see. Let me see. When the past calls, that's me. That's one for today. Uh, Her love. That was the bomb. That
All
was the
right.
bomb. And hypocrisy.
Yeah, that was a jab. That one was a jab. That one was you jabbing at me, I'm gonna jab right back.
Right. Right. So, from artistic space, what are some of the things that you're seeking to convey? Like, I see the overlay in regards to growing things, but what are some of the other things that some of the hidden things that you could kind of share with us that simply to impart when you have this exchange, when you have this meeting of yourself, your consciousness, and your pen. What are some of the things you're seeking to convey for the reader?
So I definitely wanted to convey strength. I know that as a woman, if you grow up in a dysfunctional family, or if you don't have a lot of emotional support, you kind of look for that type of love and support in the wrong places. So I wanted to convey a kind of, I know who I am, I know what I'm worth. I know that I definitely should be with people and around people who mirror who I truly am. I believe that everyone goes through a rough patch of trying to figure out who they are, and they end up going through phases where they're it's like they're looking for something that they're missing, and it could just be resolved with self-love. It's a tough lesson because you could be with someone who you love, who could do great things for you, but then you don't see the things that they're the demons that they may have, that their habits might rub off on you, like abusive relationships. I was in an abusive relationship. It wasn't physical. It was more verbal and emotional, and I stayed because I love this person so much. But then it compromised who I was as a person. I don't think that you should stay with a person just because you love them, because you can still love someone and leave them because they're no good for you. If they're not good for your growth, if they're not good for where you want to be as a person in the future, as tough as it is, you have to learn how to let them go. And it's like you have to sit with yourself and realize, who's good for you, who's not. And you just have to come to a realization. With me, I definitely left the situation um with a lot of pain, no regrets. It's a healing process in itself. Um, this particular issue, I put in promises So basically, I put up with my partner's demons because I love them so much. But then it compromised me as a person. It drained me as a person. And I was unhappy. Then I turned out to be a bit abusive because how I reacted to him. I definitely share some issues as well with dealing with the death of this person. He was the father of my child. There was some addiction issues in there. That definitely hits home for me. I hadn't been able to share that for a while because it's personal. Some things you're not ready to speak about to people. And once they finally know, they're like, wow, I didn't know that happened. But it's like when you love a person so much, you put up with so many things because you care about them, you want to be there for them. But then you have to be okay and not feel guilty with letting go because you're doing what's right for you. You can't constantly do things to please everybody else because then you're going to be left unhappy. Because no matter what you might do for other people, it most likely won't be enough because they're asking you to fill the void that they're missing. So I put that into Tomorrow as well. Tomorrow basically speaks about the death of my younger daughter's father. It also speaks about knowing people who are suicidal, knowing people who deal with depression. I myself have dealt with depression. I hadn't been suicidal, but I was in a very deep stage of depression after the father of my daughter passed away. I didn't want to get up in the morning. I didn't want to go to work. The only reason why I did go to work is because I had to pay my bills and I have 2 kids. I had a family to take care of. Had I not had my kids, I wouldn't have been able to do anything. And it's hard for people to really understand what it is that you're going through. I've had, some friends that I don't really speak to and we're very distant. They would be like, well, I didn't know what was going on. Well, when you're depressed, you're not going to reach out to anybody because it's like so much is going on. You can't process every emotion that you're experiencing. So you're not going to reach out. They're not going to know. Unless they're reaching out to you consistently, they're not going to know. And it's hard when you're depressed, when you're going through a phase of, I don't know if I'm loved. I don't know if these friends that I have support me 100% because they might not. They might in some ways. And in that instance, you have to learn how to love yourself and cultivate that type of self-love where you don't look for validation from anybody else. So those are the 2 most personal poems that I did put in there. The other ones were about exes, some flings that I may have had with fuck boys that I just decided to finally let go. The ones that seem to kind of hang around, like when the past calls, when you're doing so well, you'll have these a certain group of people who will have a tendency to reach out to you when you don't pay them any mind. It's just to see if they still have that foot in the door. And sometimes you have to learn who to continue to speak to and who to peacefully let go. I've learned that in my journey because the decisions that I've made when I was younger are definitely not decisions that I'm going to make now. Some people will call it selfish, and it may be selfish, but I think it's just loving yourself. Self-love has become one of my goals in my everyday journey. And I believe as a mother, it's also important to teach your children, especially if they're women or girls, how to love themselves and how not to always look for some type of validation from the people around them, from friends, from men, from family members. I also struggled with some issues within my family. For instance, my mother had been in and out of rehab for drug addiction. I always felt obligated to be there because I was the oldest. I was the most responsible. And at some point, I had to learn how to let a lot go because it was stagnating my own growth as a woman and as a mother. Because I was holding on to so many issues growing up, not having a father growing up. That's why I chose the wrong people to be around, because I didn't have that love in my house. I was always, taught certain things, other things I wasn't taught. So I always had this idea in my mind of how I thought love should be, when to be honest, that was the wrong type, only because of how I was raised. So it's been it's you can definitely see a lot of personal stuff that I've shared. I definitely put in positivity. Like I'll start a story with how, I may have been weak. I may have made wrong decisions. I may have chosen to be around the wrong people. I may have chosen to date the wrong guys. I believe that everybody makes mistakes and you shouldn't hold them to their mistakes, because that's how you learn. Especially if you're not taught by somebody, you have to mess up. I believe it's the inevitable. Um, and you get to a point where you're sick and tired of making the same mistakes. At least I did. And I wanted to share my gift. I wanted to share that you can make it. So that's basically the emotional aspect of what I've implemented into the book.
No, you see that shout out on the screen right there. No, you see that right there.
Yes, I see it. Yes. Oh, right. Yeah, that's my group. Those are my sisters. They have been behind me 110% every step of the way. They're definitely a big part of my growth, spiritually, first and foremost, and then personally second. Yes, Miss Phoenix, that's my sister as well.
Yeah, she be acting brand new. You know what I'm saying? She's supposed to be up here too. You understand? Another writer, another phenomenal writer. You know, I'm just, I'm checking out what's going on. So, what about some underpinnings in regards to your spiritual path, and how does that affect your writing and your message?
So that part, I was ready to share with everybody. Um, Part of my gift is manifesting. And some people don't know what manifesting means, but manifesting is it's like you're creating something into existence. So people could manifest by speaking, people manifest by thought. I manifest by writing as well. That's one of my most that's like my strongest tool to manifest is by writing. So say if I really want something to be accomplished, I write it. I put whatever you put power into, you're already trying to make it happen. You're putting that energy out into the universe. So part of my spiritual path is manifesting what I want in my life. Also, letting go of things that no longer serve me. Um, Letting go of the people who are not on the same path that I am spiritually. Um, it's a part of growth. When you have like a spiritual awakening, it's not pretty. It's horrifying to have to sit and kind of think about the things that you've done, to think about the things that other people have done, to get through those emotions of anger, of fear, of regret, of resentment. That is the most ugliest process ever. And I honestly believe that if you really want to grow spiritually, you have to do that, because you can't, you're going to always remain in that same place until you're completely honest with yourself on a spiritual level, because we're not just people. We're all spirits. we just have bodies. So that's what I'm doing right now on my spiritual path.
Now let's get to the performance aspect. Have you performed any of these poems, and what has been the response thus far? With the books and with the performance, because you're an ill performer. You know what I'm saying? I seen you get busy. I was like, oh, look at, okay, all right, I see you. Um, for that stage, I know we kind of talked about it before. But what is it like, and has it changed since you come out with the book? Things like that.
So performing, I started off a bit shaky. That's only because I'm when it comes down to doing things in front of people, it's super uncomfortable for me.
Mm.
I'm introverted, so it's like I like my personal space when it comes down to people. I've gotten comfortable over the years because I feel like I need to share it, and I don't mean just with on paper. I need to speak it out. It's a part of my healing process as well, because sometimes you hold so much in, and when you release it, it's like you're going through a process of healing, of realization, of truth, and you may not even know who would relate to what you go through. Sometimes I've had people come up to me after open mics and say, you know what, I feel the same way that you feel. Like my poem The Other Side of the Bed, that basically describes how lonely you get when you're single, how having certain standards will definitely make you feel lonely, but it's for the best. Only because you can't just invite anybody into your life. Um, I did perform that one time, and then the response that I got was, I feel like that every day. There was a few other poems where it was very thought provoking. It wasn't too deep that it would fly over your head, but it's just sometimes taking a minute to appreciate everything that's around you. When you have a quiet moment and you really sit and think, sometimes, you could be like, I'm just this little in a universe that's infinite. Like things like that, I think about. And when I get reactions like, wow, that's really deep. I feel like as a writer, I did something good, because instead of me holding it in, I let it out, and then I sparked something in somebody else's mind, and maybe their train of thought could change because I shared something. I think that sharing things with people on like a personal level could spark something. It could change like their energy, the way they think. I think it's important because people might not be surrounded by positivity. They might not have the time to think very deeply because they're so distracted with life. We're humans. We work. We take care of kids. We date. Where people are married, so they don't really have that much time to think about life in itself. So that's one of the things that I get out of performing open mics. And it also helps me become more comfortable in front of people. The more I do it, the less uncomfortable I get, even though that nervousness will still always be there. The adrenaline rush helps me get out the message I'm trying to speak about. Um, it also shows like the people that know me, they know me to be a very quiet person. So when I get up on stage, it's like, whoa, girl, where is that coming from? So that's what it does for me.
That's magical, right there. You become, you get to tap into aspects of yourself and share, you know, a total perspective of you with the world. It's your thoughts, it's your ideas. These are your other children that you're sharing with the world. These are other aspects of your creativity, of your brilliance. You know that there's a resilience about you that survive these atrocities. You turn these atrocities into blessings that they are. You see what I'm saying? So you get to put all of that in that alchemical pot, stir it together, and then bam, touch the microphone.
That's
Oh, and
right.
after you get off the microphone, you be like this. Yeah, yeah,
Yep, that's
you know what I'm saying? You can do that. You see what I'm saying? So that's a brilliant thing. So not only do they have that shared experience of it live, they have an archive that they can take with them. So for this book right here, what was that process like for the cutting floor? Did every piece that you originally wrote and intended for the book, did it make it to the book? And what was that, kind of tumultuous process? But what we see in the book, the finished product, what was that journey like for you?
so the beginning of it was getting out all my poems.
Mm.
I believe that the reason why I was on this writer's itch, like I had like a writer's bug, like I could not stop writing, and it was a good thing because I that was like the foundation of what I was about to do. That was the first part. The second part was trying to figure out where I wanted the poems to go. Because for some reason I just wanted it to be like beginning, middle, and end of where I wanted, my life to foreshadow. So some poems I automatically knew where I wanted them to be, like the past, letter to my exes, that was a given. When the past calls, that was a given. Closure. Closure definitely was like a natural way of me saying I'm closing my past and I'm ready to move on to my present. So some of them were very easy to figure out where I wanted them to go. The hardest parts were like trying to figure out where the longest ones would go because they were so good. I was like, well, should I put them in the present or should I put them in the future? So there was a little confusion with that. I also had to, edit a lot of things, my wording. It wasn't a lot that I had to change. It was just a few things. My grammar is pretty good, so I didn't have to do too much with that. Then the formatting. Um, that was a bit of a process because although it wasn't too lengthy, there were some things that I just had to, format correctly so that it would fit the right way. So it wasn't too much of an issue with that. It took a lot of dedication because when you're working all day, I would get up at 5 a.m., go to work by like 7. When you're a mom or a parent, you don't even have to be a mom. You have responsibilities outside of, what you want to do. So it's just being every day, wake up, drop the kids off, go to work, come home, cook dinner, bathe the kids. And by the time I did all of that, I was too exhausted. So I was like, you know what? I need to get this book done. I need to publish it. And there were days where I really did not feel like doing it because I was too tired. Some days I'll be like, you know what? I'm not going to work because I'm working for somebody else. I'm making it happen for somebody else. I'm letting that stop me from doing something for myself that could actually benefit not only me, but everybody else. So I had taken off um a couple days of work, not in a row, but here and there, because I realized I just needed that moment to get the longest process out of the way, which was basically typing everything out and then after figuring out where each poem would go. After I did that, the rest was just dedication. So it's you just when you have a strong passion for something, when you have a gift and you want to share that gift, all it takes is dedication and you can get it done. It might not happen overnight, but it definitely will happen if you stick to your guns and you're dedicated. And Queen Demba, I see you. Thank you.
Look at all this love you done brought over here. You understand? All this love you done brought into, all of these sisters. sticking by you and holding you up over here. You know what I'm saying? They ain't coming to see me. They be like, whatever, y'all. You understand what I'm saying? They be like, whatever. You see what I'm saying? So, um, final thoughts, acknowledgement, shout outs. Do you got anything coming up in regards to live performances? Let everybody know one more time how they can get the books and how they can support you in future endeavors. And is there plans for another book?
Um, so I definitely will be doing some upcoming performances here in Albany, New York. That's in the works. Whenever that is solidified, I definitely post it on my Facebook page, Alyssa Michelle and Alyssa Michelle Poetry. Um, the book is $9.99. You can get it off Amazon. You can also message me on Facebook. Also Instagram. Poetress A Michelle is my Instagram name. If you personally want me to send you a book, I definitely don't mind it, especially because I'll be able to autograph it myself. Just Cash App me, A Michelle 323. I will be working on another book. I'm actually beginning the process of what I want to have in it. It's a little bit more personal. Growing Pains is just like a brief recap of things that I've gone through. It doesn't really go too much into detail, but with this upcoming book, I'm gonna let you know what's been going on throughout my life. Um, I don't have a date just yet as to when it's going to be released, but when I do know, I'll definitely let you know. And then shout outs go to my group, Ori. They've been like the biggest support system. I have never met a group of women who have been so supportive of each other and me as well. Definitely shout out to the few friends that I do have that support what I do, that have supported my work, that have shared my work with others as well. And then definitely to the most high, my ancestors that have been up my butt about getting everything out, and my spirit guides.
Well, definitely thank you for your time. This is for you to keep, to use however you see fit. Uh, we're going to have you back here. Like I said, we're going to do that giveaway and we're going to have some subsequent discussion with the family in regards to the growing pains of life. Put it on the stage so it's out there for the conversation to be had. I'm thankful for your artistry. Glad that you found a way to be resilient enough to take the lesson that was in the lesson, called life, and definitely wishing you all the best and rooting for you in 2020 and beyond.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Now you done been on twice now, so next time you ain't no guest. You understand what I'm saying? So we out, family. Catch us 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna be honoring Dr. Amos Wilson. This is his transition day. Another prolific writer who enthralled the minds of African peoples. Will be on later on today with Chairman Jabari and the tour. Shout out to my sister one time, Melissa Michelle, coming through, showing that love and dropping that jewelry. And we up out of here.
Peace.
Peace.